Now, Proud of Pubs has come a long way as a campaign. It was 4 years ago when we on the Publican launched a campaign. That campaign was called Say No to the Daily Mail. We had a bit of fun with that at a time when the Licensing Act was going through and pubs were getting it in the neck, left, right and centre. And we wanted to really make a statement about what was going on in the media. But we moved on from that in 2005 with the launch of the Proud of Pubs campaign. Now, Proud of Pubs has been all about putting the industry, putting pubs onto the front foot and celebrating all the great positive things that go on in pubs today. And I think everybody in this audience doesn't need reminding of that. We've done all sorts over the past 4 years. But actually what's happening today is really exciting. After political activity, after engaging licensees in a number of ways over the past 4 years, we're now working with Neil Morrissey and Richard Fox, two of the perhaps the most recognised brewers in the country, on our beer, Proud of Pubs Best Bitter. This is a genuine beer, genuinely brewed by us. It's not just a PR stunt. Some of the Publican team went up to see Richard and Neil up at their pub in North Yorkshire a few months ago, and we came up with the formula for this. And we really hope that you're enjoying it today. I'd like just to hand over to Richard to tell you a bit more about the beer. Just before that, I'd just like to say a big thank you both to Neil and Richard for getting involved in the campaign this year. And also particularly to Joe Taylor, the brains behind Morrissey Fox. So thanks very much for coming, and Richard, over to you.
Thank you very much. I'll tell you what, being asked to design a beer, I mean, it's a great honour. It's like being asked to play for England. You know, somebody comes along and says, will you design a beer? Well, you know, what a wonderful opportunity it was. So there we were, sat around a table, actually sort of brainstorming, what is it that we want in a best bitter? You know, we go and drink them, we pick them off the bar, and we sort of, you know, there was a lot of argument, a lot of discussion, and we wanted something that actually had, because there was a lot of discussion, first of all, should it be a generic best bitter that everybody can enjoy? Well, no, we want something that stands out a little bit. So we put our heads together and we came up with something that's got bitterness, which it has to have, which we get from the Golding hop that's in there. But then we wanted this fruitiness that really sort of stands out. We actually used a Bramley finishing hop. You get a little bit of black currant there on the end, and also this wonderful Ruaka hop from New Zealand, which gives us this wonderful citrusy sort of aroma and flavour. And actually, very interestingly, today, two young ladies have come along and said, actually, I don't normally drink beer, but I like this. And that's fantastic. That's what we want to do. We don't want to preach to the converted. We want to bring in a whole new market to it. But really, the whole Proud of Pubs thing, to be honest with you, the beer, I think, is just a metaphor for everything that is great about pubs. Conviviality, communication, you know, making it the centre of a community again. And I think we can be our own sort of worst victims in the industry, where we get carried away sometimes about, well, what is a pub? You know, there's this whole debate about gastro pubs. Well, you know, is it really a pub? Isn't it a pub? And what I love about the sort of the whole Proud of Pubs thing is the simplicity of the message. Let's forget about all that stuff. As far as I'm concerned, you know, I don't care if you've got the Hanging Gardens of Babylon as your smoking area, or you've got NASA scientists who are doing the menu. If you can go into the pub and you can get a pint of great cask-conditioned British ale, it's a pub. Who cares about all the rest of it? And you know, sometimes we actually need to start looking at different ways to embrace the pub. And the other thing is that the whole industry as well, there's this whole negative thing at the moment about binge drinking and this, that and the other. And kind of ironically, I think that actually the great British pub is where we actually teach people responsible drinking. You know, forget sort of little messages, health labels on bottles, taxation, you know, prohibition, as some people would, you know, bring into this country. I read this amazing story in the paper the other week. Was it Oldham or Burnley, where some councillor who was older wanted to introduce to combat, binge drinking, a queuing system like you have at the post office in the pub. What? This guy clearly does not enjoy pubs or drinking or that atmosphere. Unbelievable. And you can only buy 2 pints maximum. If the government invested the same sort of time and effort and money into trying to save and promote the British pub as they have done in trying to combat binge drinking, they would have actually solved that problem to a great degree, and at the same time saved the British pub and promoted community spirit and a great atmosphere where we can all just learn about what great drinking and atmosphere and food really is. So we should be proud, we should be fighting back now against all this negativity in the industry, and through this beer and through this campaign, I think we can do it. And what a time to be shouting about how great the British pub is. And if we all do it and we all band together and we all talk about great beer and the atmosphere of the great British pub, then we can turn around this horrendous situation that we've got, pubs closing left, right and centre. So cheers to the Publican.
Cheers.
For initiating this campaign, and we will do everything we can to support it. And let's all get to the pub and carry on drinking in a responsible fashion. Cheers.
My name is Christine Crine. I'm the chair of the London Tasting Panel for CAMRA, and for the last few years I've been chairing the Champion Beer Britain.
Fantastic. And can you raise your glass and tell me what you think of it?
This is a really nice balanced beer. It's a good traditional bitter, but it's nice to see something that brings up the heritage of British beer. It's not golden, it's a nicely dark, brownish beer with nice sort of golden hues.
Yeah.
The flavour is very rich, the mouthfeel is quite smooth, creamy, which makes it quite a nice drink on the palate.
Yeah.
There's a bit of sweetness there, but it's balanced quite nicely with the hops and with the maltiness. And I think overall, the nice thing about it is it's very Moorish.
Yeah.
Although it's got lots of sweetness there with the bitter balance it up, the nice thing really about it is that bitterness makes it a bit more profitable. So you can actually drink.
So you'd have a second or third pint then, yeah? That's fantastic. Thank you very much. That's great. Okay, Pete, so what do you think is the Pride of Pub's best?
I really like it as a beer. I tasted Morris & Fox's Best Bitter about 6 months ago, and it was my favourite out of the Morris & Fox range. This is very reminiscent of that.
Yeah.
It's got a slightly sharper hop, which I now believe is its exclusive New Zealand hop. So it's got the best of both worlds. It's got a little chocolatey maltiness. It's got a very refreshing dry hop on it as well.
Yeah.
And what I like about it as the choice of beer for Proud of Pubs is that this is it's not a challenging beer, but it's a full-bodied beer, it's a tasty beer. And I think there's this sort of belief in some quarters that if you want to attract new people to beer, if you attract women to beer, then it has to be less challenging. When you think about some of the drinks that people are drinking that don't like beer, they're drinking wine, which is much more kind of intense and fully flavoured than beer is. And so I think that these kind of beers are the way to get non-beer drinkers, women especially, into drinking beer.
Fantastic.
A great example of its type, and it's absolutely brilliant when somebody who loves the beer and brews the beer tells you what's great about it. I got about 6 to go even before I had one pint. I like these glasses incidentally. I think that concentrates.
Can you show us the glass?
I think that concentrates the nose at the top, and you can appreciate it in the connoisseur way as opposed to just glugging you. It's great stuff, and well done, Publican.
Thank you very much. That's great. Cheers.